There's nothing worse than the feeling of being betrayed by the woman you love. You promised to do life together, that you would always be open with one another, and you never thought it would get to this point. But here you are, and you're wondering, is there any way back from this? Yes, there is, and today I'm going to show you how. On today's video, I'm going to cover the reason why women cheat, how to prevent cheating from happening, and if your wife's had an affair, how to come back stronger than ever from it. And be sure to stick around to the end of this video where I'm going to cover the 4 stages of marriage restoration. Now, with all that being said, let's dive right in. Why do women cheat? There are 2 types of people in this world: people with high moral values and people with low moral values. If you've been unfortunate enough to end up with a woman with low moral values, she's cheated on you numerous times, promised you that she won't do it again, has continued to have affairs, and to break your trust. If this is the case, brother, it's time for you to move on. You deserve better. This video is for men who have married the woman of their dreams, who has high moral values, and you realize that you can both do better and you want to learn how to move past this. So let's take a look at why a good woman with high moral values would cheat. Number 1 is complacency. You put all your focus on providing for the family and raising the kids, and your wife did the same thing. She put the kids as a number 1 priority, and guess what happened? Your relationship slid all the way down from priority number 1 to the bottom, which led to yourself and your wife over a long period of time drifting apart. Number 2, external stressors. So when you got together with your wife, there were no kids, you had no responsibilities, you were carefree, your sex life was amazing, but then life got real. You got married, you had kids, and you had all these stressors. So you then had to provide for your family. You might have had financial issues. Maybe some of your family members got sick. These are all totally normal issues that we all experience during life, but they do add additional stress to the relationship. And it's at this point where you can either learn how to react to these stressors as a team, a cohesive family unit, or you end up turning on one another, blaming each other for not showing up the way you would like them in the relationship, and this causes the communication to break down. Number 3 is resentment grows. So you're no longer able to communicate effectively and find solutions together to the problems that you're facing in life. The issues in your relationship are now stacking, and you and your wife are starting to shut down rather than communicate with one another. And anytime you do talk with one another, it's usually with a sense of irritation or resentment. So these are the precursors that lead your wife to having an affair. There's a lot of resentment in the relationship and you guys can't communicate effectively. So this leads your wife to believe it's not possible to solve issues anymore. So she shuts down and doesn't talk to you anymore when there's issues in the relationship. So she feels like she's alone. She feels like this isn't what she signed up for. She imagined marriage to be different, and she ends up seeking that emotional connection that she's no longer getting from the marriage outside of the marriage. And this is usually with an old friend that she feels safe with, or a co-worker who she feels like she can confide in about the problems that she's having. How to prevent cheating? Number 1, prioritize the marriage. So I know you and your wife are very busy, but you got to prioritize your marriage. So make sure that you get some time out without the kids. This is really important because during the good times, you want to be able to create a buffer of goodwill between you and your wife, because you are going to hit hard times. There are going to be stresses in your life. And if you take the time to prioritize your marriage, when you hit the hard times in life, you'll have a buffer there, which will ensure you and your wife will support each other during these tough times. Because when you've got a buffer of goodwill and you have the stresses in your life, you and your wife know that you can solve the issues together, and rather than turning on each other, which is what happens in most relationships, you'll support each other and work on the issues in the marriage proactively. Number 2, create adventures together. So the biggest killer for any marriage is monotony. So things get boring, you get tied up with all the daily chores, and days turn into months and months turn into years, and you're just thinking like, what have I got myself into here? What happened to my life? Guys, you don't want to do that. You want to create adventures every day, every week with your wife. And this could be something that's done simply where you plan something in the evenings, or you can do it on a weekend to have a Sunday adventure where you agree that you and your wife, or you, your wife and your kids, the whole family are going to go off and have a new adventure. And this doesn't have to be something really expensive. It can be something as simple as going to a park, going outdoors, where you're going to have a new experience together, see a new place, and keep that sense of excitement and adventure alive in your marriage. Number 3, practice open and honest communication. It's really important that you address issues in real time in your marriage and you don't end up sweeping it under the rug. This is what a lot of men do. They just get tired, run down, and they figure, you know what, I'm not going to address this because the last time I addressed this, it's turned into a big shit show. We ended up in a big argument and it's just better. I'll just let it go. And that's how issues stack. No, you want to be practicing open and honest communication where you speak directly from your heart to your wife, letting her know what you're not happy with, what you want to change in the marriage, how you want to work together on this as a couple. Now, this isn't the easiest thing. It's really key on how you communicate this. Otherwise, it can come across as you just blaming her. So I've created a free communication guide to help you communicate openly and honestly with your wife so you can address issues in your marriage in real time and find solutions together. Download your free communication guide below. The fact of the matter is, affairs do not occur in happy marriages. And as long as you're setting time aside with your wife, making your marriage a priority, creating adventures together, and communicating openly and honestly, you're going to feel deeply connected with your wife. She's going to feel deeply connected with you, which makes an affair impossible. How to come back from the affair stronger. Number 1, heal. Brother, this has been a big shock. You didn't see it coming. Now it's time for you to heal. It's the only way that you and your wife are going to be able to move forward is if you heal this hurt. You don't need to be rushing back into the relationship and just trying to brush this under the rug like it didn't happen. You need some time to process the feeling of sadness, anger, of being hurt because your trust has been broken. And over time, by healing this hurt, you're going to be able to forgive your wife. And this is the only way that you guys are going to be able to move forward. Number 2, transparency. I guarantee you that you had a feeling like something was going on before. Maybe she was on her phone all the time texting, or she was out with her friends more. She was telling you about a friend from work. So you kind of had a feeling like something wasn't right. And she kept playing it off, saying it wasn't happening and she didn't come clean until you finally found out about it. So if you're deciding to move on with your marriage and you want to heal it, then it's going to be on her to be really transparent. You should never have to worry where she is and who she's spending time with or who she's texting on her phone. Your wife needs to commit to being completely transparent in her activities, but also with her communication. So you can definitely take leadership in this by applying the framework that I teach in my free communication guide. But you guys want to talk about everything moving forward. Nothing should be swept under the rug. You guys want to address issues in real time, so in order to prevent this from ever happening again. Number 3 is time. Brother, it's going to take time for you to heal the hurt that's being caused here. It's going to take time to rebuild the trust, but by following the steps that I teach in these videos, it's possible for you and your wife to move closer than you've ever been before in your marriage. If you like this video and you want to save your marriage after an affair, you need to watch this next video on the 4 stages of marriage restoration.